What's good, y'all? I know I haven't done a book review in a while, but I set out a goal at the top of 2023 to read a book a month and listen to an audio book a month. And I accomplished that goal, man. I succeeded and I passed that goal actually. And I was on Instagram today and I seen where Barack Obama posted his favorite books of 2023. And when I seen what he posted, I was like, 4 to 5 of those books that he posted I had read those books. I was like, so I must be on the right path with my knowledge seeking. And the book I'm reviewing today, it stuck out to me because I wonder why he read it. And it's Poverty by America. So it's basically like America creates poverty. Now, before I play some clips and get into some of the topics of discussion of the book, I want to talk about some of the things in the book that caught my attention. So the author is Matthew Desmond. He's a Caucasian man, and he's not a racist man, I can tell that. But he talks about a lot of things that, I can relate to as a black man. And the thing he talks about is like America is the richest country on earth with the most poor people in the world. Crazy. Y'all tell me if that statistic is something that y'all knew or if that's an accurate statistic because he also talks about how poverty isn't due to a lack of resources. Like our country is using the most resources out of any country in the world. And we're willing to go to war behind obtaining those resources so we can provide for the people of this country. So we're not lacking of resources in this country. He also talks about how vaccines has progressed. We have progressed in areas like creating vaccines, healing heart disease, um, furthering the internet, like furthering along with digital and tech and artificial intelligence, but we can't solve or we don't want to solve the problem of poverty. Okay, another thing he said, because I wrote it down, I took notes, y'all. In the history of America, only one other state sponsored initiatives. Hold on, but how did I write this down? I apologize. Only one other state sponsored initiatives more anti family than mass incarceration, and that was slavery. Okay. State sponsor initiatives that are more anti family than mass incarceration. So he's basically saying mass incarceration is a state sponsored thing and it has created more poverty than slavery. Hmm. Let me let him talk though for a minute.
Family and community. I mean, it
Right,
really, I mean, it's just so disruptive
right.
of community. I mean, the other thing you write about too is that also a lot of these funds, like TANF, which is now what's replaced what we've traditionally known as welfare, has simply been misused or not spent. That,
Right.
yeah.
Right. So welfare gets reformed in 1996 under a Democratic president, Clinton, and it turns into a block grant, which is just a wonky way of saying, hey, states, here's some money, spend it how you'd like to. It's actually illegal for the federal government to look at how states spend TANF money, which is crazy. And so states have exercised a lot of creativity with respect to how they spend welfare dollars. Some states used welfare dollars to fund Christian summer camps or abstinence-only training or marriage counseling. You guys probably read about Mississippi in the news last year that literally spent welfare dollars on to buy people trucks and to pay Brett Favre over $1 million in speaking fees for speeches he never gave. And so,
And he's not very popular around here.
Yeah,
anyway,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like Brett Favre either, but it's because he left the Packers. But the bigger picture, right, is like for every dollar in TANF money that's budgeted, only 22 cents ends up in the family's hands in terms of dollars in hand. And that's like an abstract thing, but that means like kids aren't getting enough to eat, right? That means like families are getting evicted. The average age of an evicted child in America is 7. Like this is kind of what it means on a human level. And this isn't just a red state thing. There's only one state that dedicates most of its welfare funds to actually cash welfare, and that's Kentucky. And there's plenty of other states that just don't do anything with the money. States don't have to. So Tennessee, last time I checked, was sitting on over $700 million in unused welfare funds. Hawaii was sitting on, our bluest state, was sitting on so much welfare funds that they could give every kid in the state below the poverty line $10,000.
So
Aaron Jackson Podcast.
So before I get into what caught my attention about that clip is that I'm an individual from Tennessee, and to say that it's hard when you grow up poor to get out of the poverty mentality, to fight, to want to better yourself, saying it's hard is an understatement. I left Tennessee, man, like I seen so many of my partners die. I seen so many people sick and can't afford to go to a doctor. I seen people can't afford to go to the dentist. I seen individuals like dealing with a lot of stuff that was caused by poverty. Not saying that you can't get yourself out of that situation, but the misuse of funds, them misusing funds is foul. That's foul. But to me, help me understand why the federal government does not put the money in the hands of the people. They put the money in the hands of the state to give to the people. Help me understand that ideology, because I don't understand it. Like, our tax money is directly through the individual. You don't need us. The state is like the middleman. Nobody wants to deal with the middleman. Everybody want their funds direct. They want a direct deposit. It's just weird. Is it Poverty by America? That's the title of the book. I suggest y'all read it. But another topic of discussion that is relevant in today's climate and time, because the book was written in 2022, so things have changed in our country. I'm a proud American. I can say that this is all I know. America. I'm proud to be from this country, and I want to see better, no matter the race, the people, none of that. I just want to see better. But migrants, immigrants, whatever you want to call them, people crossing the border. Trump was building a wall. Biden is, what is he doing, dog? No disrespect to the president, but what is he doing? Like, just last month, you got people lying, hundreds of thousands of people. Is that real? Like, I don't live in a state touching the border, but I don't know if that's real or not. Is they really flying people in the country? Is it really buses of people at Texas border and Arizona border? Hundreds of, is that real? That don't even seem real to me. It probably don't seem real to a lot of Americans that's not on that border, because that is, I it just don't seem realistic to me.
Over the course of American history, immigrants have served as a scapegoat for our economic anxieties. The Chinese as a class are a detriment and a curse to our country, reads a newspaper column from 1877. They have supplanted white labor and taken the bread out of the mouths of the white men and their families. In the early 1900s, native-born white Americans lashed out at Italian immigrants for landing jobs and working hard in them, even resorting to mob violence and lynching to drive them out of town. Conservatives today, who cast blame on immigrants for dragging down wages and displacing native workers, are carrying forward an old American tradition. Theoretically, immigrants could drive up a country's poverty rate in at least 3 ways. They could arrive poor and stay that way, forming a new underclass, They could make the native-born population poorer by depressing wages, or they could overburden the safety net, diluting anti-poverty investments. Our foreign-born population has soared over the past half-century. In 1960, 1 in 20 people in America was born in another country. Today, 1 in 8 is. The United States now has more immigrants than any other nation on earth. Could this be why the poverty rate hasn't budged, even as anti-poverty aid has increased? Like European immigrants who crossed the Atlantic generations ago, many present-day immigrants arrive poor. If those newcomers and their children remained poor, increased immigration could push up the poverty rate. If this were happening, states that experienced the largest influx of immigrants should have seen their poverty rates climb. Almost half of America's foreign-born population now lives in just 3 states: California, Texas, and Florida.
I don't know why people want to come to this country at the rate that they do. Sometimes I think, I'm assuming right now, that certain people in political offices want foreigners to come to the country so they can get votes. Is the Democrats letting that? Nah, let me stop just singling out a political party, because will they vote count like votes? Then I think about capitalism. We need more bodies in the country to work at a low wage so we can stay rich. Because like the people here, we're not settling for no. We see how inflation has impacted us as citizens. We're not working for under $75,000 minimum. You ain't getting nobody that's from this country that has an education, that's a citizen of this country, to work for under $75,000 a year, man. Real talk. It's just my opinion. So they're allowing the immigrants to come in the country. To me, I think it's being allowed because we got military. We could easily put the military at the border and handle that situation, man. To me, the next person who's going to get my vote is going to protect the Americans' rights, protect the Americans' finances, protect our voice, protect us, the people that's been here, the people that's citizens of this country. 1 in 8 people are immigrants. Ooh. Are all of us immigrants at the end of the day? Real talk, man. But what do y'all think about the migrant situation in New York, Texas, California? What's your perception? And if you're a migrant or an immigrant or whatever they are, man, that's watching this episode, tell me how you feel about this country. Is it what you thought it was before you came here? Let's get to the last topic of discussion, and I'm gonna end it off. Thank y'all for tuning in, though, man. And I suggest y'all go purchase this book, man, if you want to understand. The reason I bought this book too, I'm gonna tell y'all before I go to, or before I play this last clip. I come from impoverished situations, but I was loved. I come from a household full of love. My mother and my grandmother and my sister, and all females. Come from a household full of love, but we was what I consider poor, for real. The AC was in the window. Uh, we had to eat home cooked meals. We didn't have a vehicle. We was I remember carrying groceries off the bus and walking them to the house. So I've been poor, man, and I don't want to be poor no more. And I want to help and and give some people some information so they won't have to go through that or won't have to deal with that for the rest of their life, because that don't feel good, dog. Last topic of discussion: anti-family.
Like, and what's crazy to me, right, is like, here's a family, right? They're trying to be a family. And we hear so much about, well, the role of the family, let's build up the family. But these programs are so anti-family, right? If you apply for food stamps as a married couple, you get less than if you applied separately. Same with the earned income tax credit. With housing assistance, right? If you let someone that's not on the lease sleep over at your house, like your cousin that just got evicted, or your boyfriend, or that can lead to you losing that benefit.
Right.
And so it's kind of enraging that if we talk so much about the importance of the family, we certainly don't back that up with how we design
Right.
social policy.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I remember a time in my life where I was like, I don't want to get married, man. I'm not gonna be able to get no benefits on my taxes. Uh, I'm not gonna be able to do this, do that, do this, do that. And I come to realize that most people that's married, that's in a union, are not broke. You make more sound decisions. You have a partner that's looking out for your best interest. You may have to pay taxes for the rest of your life instead of receiving $1,500. But now you have double incomes. You have a partner that look out for your best interest. It's easier to obtain home ownership and build your credit score when you're in a marriage or a union. You can do that without a marriage, but I suggest you get married. Uh, Home ownership. I want to talk about home ownership because anti-family, like I seen it growing up in my neighborhood. Women get food stamps. They don't even want the man after they had a baby because after they have the baby, they get a free apartment or a voucher. That's what they call them. I totally forgot because I've been removed so long. They get a voucher. They get Obama phone, food stamps. The man is a lie and say he don't even live in the home and be living in the home. So she can keep her government benefits because if you show unity, then they will take your government benefits, like he said. But why y'all don't want us? Why y'all don't want y'all people to be united? That's the real question. Why does the American government don't want people to be united? To me, if you're young and you're listening to this episode, they don't want you to be united because they want you to depend on them. We don't want to depend on nobody. Real talk. I don't. I want to be free. I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. I appreciate everybody that done subscribe to the channel, the new subscribers, the people that's checking out this book review. And I'm going to continue to do these book reviews. I'm going to do a whole lot more of them, man. Appreciate y'all, man. Peace, love, plenty, abundance. I'm going to leave y'all with this, but make sure you go get you some money. And I'm out. Chill.
Could this be? Part of the answer, I learned, lies in the fact that a fair amount of government aid earmarked for the poor never reaches them. To understand why, consider welfare. When welfare was administered through the Aid to Families with Dependent Children program, almost all of its funds were used to provide single-parent families with cash assistance. But when President Bill Clinton reformed welfare in 1996, replacing the old model with Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, TEMF, he transformed the program into a block grant that gives states considerable leeway in deciding how to distribute the money. As a result, states have come up with rather creative ways to spend TEMF dollars. Nationwide, for every dollar budgeted for TEMF in 2020, poor families directly received just 22 cents. Only Kentucky and the District of Columbia spent over half of their TEMF funds on basic cash assistance. Of the $31.6 billion in welfare funding, just $7.1 billion was realized as dollars-in-hand relief to the poor. Where did the rest of the money go? Some of it went to helping families in other ways, such as supporting job training and offsetting childcare costs. Other TANF dollars were dedicated to funding juvenile justice administration, promoting financial literacy, and a wide assortment of other activities that had little or nothing to do with reducing poverty. Between 1999 and 2016, Oklahoma spent more than $70 million in TANF funds on the Oklahoma Marriage Initiative, providing counseling services and organizing workshops open to everyone in the state, poor or not. Arizona used welfare dollars to pay for abstinence-only sex education. Pennsylvania diverted TANF funds to anti-abortion crisis pregnancy centers. Maine used the money to support a Christian summer camp. And then there's Mississippi. A 389-page audit released in 2020 found that money overseen by the Mississippi Department of Human Services, DHS, and intended for the state's poorest families was used to hire an evangelical worship singer who performed at rallies and church concerts, to purchase a Nissan Armada, Chevrolet Silverado, and Ford F-250 for the head of a local nonprofit and 2 of her family members, and even to pay the former NFL quarterback Brett Favre $1.1 million for speeches he never gave.